I'm Ray Hernandez, and I'm the program director of the Model UN program here at FIU. I coordinate and direct the students of our Model UN program. I graduated last year in the spring. I graduated with a bachelor's degree in political science, dual major in international relations. I graduated Phi Beta Kappa and summa cum laude from FIU.
Give us a little bit of a snapshot of where you were in your life September 11th, 2001.
Well, I had just entered. I joined the Army June 18th, 2001, and I left for infantry combat basic training at Fort Benning, Georgia, August 1st, 2001. So I was in my second or third week of basic training. September 11th happened. I mean, not even 31 days after I left for basic training. So it was a very different experience from what I joined initially. It was a very different experience. It was a very different thought process shortly thereafter.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about the vibe on the base the day of, and when you all realized, and how did you learn, and
Right.
what was the mood?
Well, it was honestly, at first everyone thought, because our company commander came out, we were in the middle of doing some sort of hand-to-hand combat training. And so our company commander came out. It was about 9:15, 9:30 in the morning, and he told us that, an airplane had flown into one of the Twin Towers. And at first, I'm not even gonna lie, I thought he was joking. I was like, come on, like this is one of those ploys that they do to try to, trying to train us up, or they're trying to get us, it's gonna be a joke later on. And he was very serious. He was very somber. And everyone, I guess it was like everyone had just been, we could say, punched in the stomach. It was not a very pleasant day.
And the days thereafter, when it really began to sink in, hey, when I joined the Army, we weren't at war, now we are.
Right.
If you want to share this, I mean, what were you thinking? Were you like, holy cow, this is not what I signed up for, or?
Well, not to sound cliche, but I joined the Army with a very real expectation that one day we would go to war. At the same time, I didn't anticipate going to war, given that we weren't currently at war. We hadn't been attacked on 9/11. So, but at the same time, it wasn't like I'm not trying to sound like Superman or anything. But that is, I signed up with the full intention of knowing that one day I could go to war. So it was a little bit. It did take me aback. It did make me reassess my values and see if this was, I'm not gonna lie, I will say that, I did ask myself, can I do this? Will I want to stay? But shortly thereafter, not even 5 minutes later, I was like, hey, like this is what I signed up for. This is what I signed, the contract to do, to serve my country, and that's what I'm gonna do. So.
What was the feedback from family and friends?
Well, it was very strange given, I think, what everybody's unique 9/11 experience was. We were able to call home, but then, my parents were worried. Obviously, my dad was very worried. And overall, for me, it was a very surreal experience because, everyone says that what their hardest part of 9/11 was that they had to see the footage over and over and over. And I didn't see the towers fall on video till about December of that year. So to me, it was a very different experience because, you're hearing everyone's discussing, we're at war and the towers fell, and I was just waiting for that first time to see it, to see if it was real, because, I came in, it's funny because the Army, the basic training experience is supposed to change you and mold you into a different person, and so I left basic training, I changed, but then I left basic training and everybody else had changed as well. The world had changed. I mean, the United States was just a totally different country at that point. Funny story that I tell everyone is I got on the first time I'd ever gotten into an airplane, I left for basic training. It was just a walk in, walk out type of experience. Next time I was on an airplane, taking off your shoes, being patted down, and because of the security changes and how it changed our country. So it was a night and day experience for me.
Talk a little bit about your military experience. Did you go overseas? Where'd you go? How long were you there? What did you do?
Okay, I joined the Army. I was an airborne infantry soldier. I was in the 82nd Airborne Division. I was stationed out of Fort Bragg, North Carolina. I've been deployed twice, one time to Afghanistan, the second time to Iraq. Okay. I was deployed to Afghanistan from January 2003 until August 2003. Then I redeployed to Iraq in January 2004 until February 2004, where I was medically evacuated because I was shot and wounded in Iraq.
Were you shot more than once, or?
I was shot 4 times in Iraq. I was awarded the Bronze Star for Valor for providing first aid to 2 other soldiers that were injured, as well as Purple Heart for wounds received in Iraq.
Okay. And yet you decided to get out. You gave, the level up to the ultimate sacrifice for your country. And yet you decided, and served with distinction.
Right.
And yet you got out. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, after I was shot and wounded, they did extensive rehabilitation, and then after the rehabilitation, they asked me, they put me through a physical evaluation to see if I could still so I could stay in the Army. And so then I was pretty much told, look, you're either going to have to change your job. You can't jump out of airplanes anymore. You can't do that anymore. Or you're going to have to change your job. Or you're going to have to get out. You're not going to be able to do your job. So I was like, well, I signed up to jump out of airplanes, to be an infantry soldier. That's what I signed up to do. And I was like, if I can't do that, I'm not. It's no offense to the United States Army. I've given my service. I love this country, but it's time for me to get out at this point. And so then I was medically discharged shortly thereafter, and attended Miami-Dade College for about 1.5 years. Graduated with honors from there. Came to FIU in 2007, and here I am.
How, when you look at the big picture,
Right.
Now, how did it affect, I won't even say alter, because you might say, well, it didn't alter, but how did it affect the trajectory of your life and your goals and maybe what you...
9/11?
Yeah.
Well, 9/11, boy.
Yes.
Well, absolutely. It definitely impacted what I wanted to study. That's number one. It's impacted where I'm working at now with the Model UN program. It's like every year when we do recruitment from Model UN, I say something. Everybody says, well, why did you do Model UN? And I say, well, I'd seen one side of diplomacy. I'd seen the other side. So I wanted to try the other side, and I wanted to see if you can actually make an impact, or how you would go about making a difference. So at the same time, being shot and being wounded, have a lot of physical ailments or whatnot that have definitely impacted my life. As far as anything else, like I tell people, 9/11, it impacted us all in very different ways. Everyone had their own unique experience. Whether you were 7 or 8 years old, or you were 30, you were 18 like myself, and everyone was impacted in their own way. And I think that a lot of times we look at that there's one way of dealing with this, or there's one way of grieving, or there's only one way of manifesting your emotions or your thoughts towards how you feel about 9/11. But at the end of the day, it's everyone's going to have to heal in their own way and in their own process. It's been 10 years, and I still don't think everyone has fully gotten over 9/11.
Great. Last question, if you want to answer it. Knowing what you know now, would you still have entered the military?
Well, that's a question that I've asked myself, I think, every day since 9/11. I've asked myself, I'm like, well, would I have had the courage to have joined? What would I have done? And honestly, I'd say the answer is yes, I would have done it the same, even knowing what I know now, even after being shot and wounded. There's just no, to me, it's the negative impacts of 9/11, we obviously know what those are. We obviously know how that's affected our life. But at the same time, sometimes I look at the positive sides of 9/11. I look at, how this country after 9/11, how everyone united and everyone said, look, like, this isn't just, New York wasn't attacked. Our country was attacked. It wasn't just about one city or one way of life. It was about us in general. And 9/11 obviously negatively impacted me, but it positively impacted me as well. And like I said, it really, especially when we went to Afghanistan, it impacted me to stay and finish and serve honorably. And the same thing when I went to Iraq. And knowing what I know now and having the experience that I had, I don't see it any different. I wouldn't have done it any different. It was a great experience serving in the Army, serving with so many good friends, serving with so many of America's finest, from Montana to Wyoming to New York to back down to Miami. And it was a great experience. It was a tough experience, but I wouldn't be where I am without having joined the Army.
If there's anything else you want to say?
I think for the students, really look at where you were then. Your country you kind of grown up now. If you're 18, if you're coming into FIU as a freshman, you're looking at the world as, you know, we've always been at war. We've always, like, it's just a normal. I mean, it's been 10 years now. I'd say reassess, you know, reassess how you see life, reassess how we see the world, reassess everything, and see, you know, how it's impacted you subconsciously and consciously. You know, it's, you know, when we go to the airport and we do the, you know, we go through this, you know, ridiculous type of experience where we're taking off shoes and we're putting things inside of trays, and, you know, really dedicate yourselves to making the world a better place so future 9/11s don't happen. Not just that, so we understand the consequences of 9/11, and so we understand how to deal with, you know, tragedy, you know, and how we deal with these events immediately after. So, other than that, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your service to our country. Really appreciate it.